Yo, what is going on, guys? Inzem here, back with another more educational type of video. I know it's been a while since I did one of these videos, but I think it's about time I made this video, so let's talk about it. So I've actually been meaning to make this video for a while. I've just been a little lazy on making it, but this video, the idea I had was actually from a video. If you guys are familiar with Lotus, Asakura, we made a video a little while ago, well, me sharing my thoughts on why I believe Trunks to actually be potentially a top tier character and why I think he's really good. And funny enough, some of the more higher level players also share this opinion, but I also kind of wanted to make my own video with my own thoughts to really like dive home the point I was trying to make. So the first thing I think it's appropriate to talk about when you're talking about this character is his assist, right? And the way you decide if a character is good or not are a few different ways. You can actually notice if a character is good is if you compare them to other top tiers of even previous seasons or current, and see if some of the tools they have in concept exist in a character you're looking at. So let's look at Trunks, for example, right? So a good sign that you are pretty top tier is good assists. So for Trunks, he actually has two really good assists and one kind of good assist. So the first assist we're going to talk about is his beam assist, which is probably the most standout assist. So beam assists have always generically been really good, right? But to get the more important part of why they're good is, one, they are a beam, meaning that they will just win against any ki blast based attack. So if somebody were to do something like that, you call your assist. As you can see, it protects you and you can cover the ground quickly. Another important note about beam assist though is that they pierce. Not a lot of people actually understand this, and what I mean by that is typically, especially with single hitting assists, you can protect the assist behind you by simply stepping in front of the assist as you call it. So right here I have an example of Majin 21 being called. I'm going to just step in front of the assist, so Gogeta blocks the assist, so my assist can still come out like this. As you can see, Gogeta blocked the assist and my assist came out to counter call it, right? That's what we call a counter call. The thing about beam assist though is you cannot do that because they pierce, meaning that they actually go through the point character, hitting anything behind them. You cannot step in front of them, so they cannot be counter called. So once a beam assist is out, they are out. As you can see, Majin 21 just got hit, you cannot stop it. So having an assist that is, for one, fairly high block stun, 31 frames, a little bit higher than the average for a neutral assist, which is 30 now. It also having the extra properties of piercing, it lasting this long, the angle it covers. It's a really broken neutral assist, right? The next assist is Change the Future, which I personally don't view as that strong compared to the beam assist. While I do think it has its merits, I think it's good. I just don't think it's broken. But it is a very fast blast type of assist. They call these assists like blast assists, screen coverage. And it's also a beam, and as you can see, he comes out fairly fast. He just kind of covers the screen. So the nice thing about this assist is, for one, it's ki blast involved, meaning that you cannot snipe it with ki blast. And again, it's a screen clear. So if somebody were to try to call their assist, you kind of just say no. So the downside of this assist is that it does not have a lot of block stun at all, at only 14 frames, meaning that any sort of mix-up you try to make with this assist is not really true, but there can still be mind games being played with this assist. Let's say you do something like this. Typically, some people will not be ready to tech the Dragon Rush because you typically are in block stun for a little longer than that, right? So it happens pretty quickly. But this is a little bit of a gimmick. Outside of that, the assist is purely neutral based. The other standout assist I wanted to talk about though is actually his C assist. I know some people have gripes about C assist, but I personally believe the type of C assist he has is basically the strongest type you can have, which is a lockdown C assist, meaning that they have around 55 frames of block stun. And what that means is it's basically Kid Buu A. It's Kid Buu A attached to a character that is not Kid Buu, but with a little longer cooldown. But it can also confirm things, so that's nice. And it can be used at neutral too, because as you see, it hits full screen. And if you manage to get them to block this full screen, you can do interesting things like set up mix-ups from full screen. So the nice thing about this assist though is it is very reliable for setting up pretty true 50-50s. As you can see, here's an example of Red Gogeta Fuzzy being set up. You can do things like go overhead, go low, and cross up. So this is a very powerful mix-up situation, and majority of characters can get something similar to this as long as you have a 2L low at the very least. You can set up a nice three-way mix-up, very similar to Kid Buu, right? So for a character to have the plethora of assists as such as this is like really strong, and that's just the beginning. So let's keep going on. The next thing we're going to talk about that he has access to is that he has a level 2. Now I know what a lot of people are thinking, oh my god, it sucks, it doesn't do a lot of damage. Come on, y'all have to realize something. He has a level 2. Think about that, right? When a lot of people see that and they'll be like, oh my god, it doesn't do a lot of damage, it's not enough, like they are comparing it to other level 2s, which it doesn't do as much damage as the other level 2s. They're correct in thinking that, but they kind of just ignore the fact that he just has one. Do you understand the amount of characters that would die to have a level 2? Like, it doesn't do that much damage. Don't get me wrong. Only 300 extra. But that is still 300 extra. That is a level 2. Like, there are so many characters that just simply doesn't have one. So just having a level 2 is extremely nice, because there's going to be situations where you have 4 bars, but you will not be able to kill because 111 won't kill, or level 1 into level 3 wouldn't kill. But if Trunks is on your team, he would have been able to kill. So this is really nice. It also does a little extra damage if you get the first part to miss, but that's kind of minor. But just the important part I want to speak of is he has a level 2. Like, that is very important. It might be on the lower end of damage, but he just has one. And the last supporting value that he gives to your team by just being on it is he actually has access to a very powerful level 3 mix-up. Now, it is a bit expensive considering that they have to be outside of the corner for it to be potent, and sometimes you're going to have to spend a little bit extra meter to set that up. Let's say you have a corner in the combo. You won't really be able to set that up too easily unless you do something like throw them out the corner, then spin a super, then spin the super, right? Also, he needs a half a bar to set it up. I'm not going to show you guys because I cannot perform this because I don't play this character, but yes, it is a truly unreactable left-right mix-up that has a spark bait built into it. So the one thing I did want to mention about this is, some people kind of get it confused when they say, oh, it's not that good because either it's too expensive or it's too hard to execute. He has the strongest type of level 3 mix-up. And what I mean by that is, the strongest type of level 3 mix-up that exists in Dragon Ball is a mix-up that not only is a purely unreactable guess, but it also has a spark bait that looks identical to the mix-up itself. Some characters cannot do this. Some characters just have a mix-up and they don't really have a spark bait that looks completely identical to it. They may have some spark baits, but typically you will be able to tell the difference between if they are trying to bait your spark or actually going for the mix-up if you are paying attention. The characters who have access to level 3 mix-ups that don't, that you cannot tell the difference between the actual mix-up and spark are the scariest, because that means you actually have to guess, and if you are wrong in your guess, and let's say you did spark but it got baited, chances are you're probably going to lose that game, because spark is the most important resource, right? So I'm showing you Red Gogeta's level 3 mix-up. This is a high-low, 50-50. But the thing that's strong about his is, it actually has a spark bait that looks completely identical to the actual mix-up. As you can see, he does one air dash, and he either does a second one to go high, or lands into him and goes low. He can do one air dash, land, back dash, and spark bait you. And you cannot see that. He's going to medium start you, and chances are you're probably going to die from the combo, right? What Trunks does is, he does something very similar, where his mix-up occurs with the EX flip. He either left right you with this, right? But if you were to bait spark, he would do this, land in place. I can't really do it because I don't have a license, but he'll land in place and he'll either 2M you or 5H you, and you are going to die and probably lose the game. So for him to have access to literally the strongest type of level 3 mix-up that could exist in a game, on top of having very strong mix-up assists, very strong neutral assists, and a level 2, he's already good just being a support character. But let's talk about him on point. Let's stop talking about his support qualities. So the first and most appropriate thing to address about his neutral is, his kit is his neutral, which is, his neutral is actually very strong. Some people kind of get this mixed up and say, oh, he can't hang with the top tiers. He absolutely can hang with the top tiers. That's actually never really been his issue. The main takeaways from his neutral is his JH being very good. This was recently buffed to be very fast. I'm going to talk about this button a little bit later, but that's really good. Please stop sparking now. But more importantly, the meme changed the neutral, this move. This is A assist, he has it as a move. The properties on this is, it is Ki Blast and Vol on the first frame actually, meaning he can bully his way through neutral. So you see this character everybody hates, Vegito, the super neutral god tier character. Yeah, Trunks doesn't really care about him. He doesn't care about this neutral. He actually beats him in neutral, right? So, you know, for a alleged mid to low tier character, how is he beating one of the strongest neutral characters in the game at neutral, right? And these are some of the things I look at when I look at if a character is strong or not. So it kind of confuses me why some people actually think he's not that good. It actually really confuses me. But let's keep going, right? Another thing he has access to is his 5S. This is also Key Blastable in the sense that it will actually shred through Key Blast. As you can see, it will shred through Key Blast. It's not as easily hit confirmable as most other neutral tools like this, but if you notice they did something, like they shot a Key Blast or something, you don't really even have to confirm it. You're like, oh, you got hit, nice, I win. He also has access to this in the air, which is nice as well. He also has a beam, which also serves the same purpose, but it will just beat anything. And like earlier I mentioned, beams cannot be counter-called, so if you want to just clear the screen, really good for that. And added benefit is he can now super dash after this for pressure and neutral. I almost had that, but I don't have the flip license. So this also piggybacks on the subject of neutral, but this is, in my opinion, the most potent thing about this character, and that is his immense amount of movement options. He literally, arguably, might have the best movement in the game. For a base character's kit, I do think it's the best. I think other characters like let's say level 3 Gohan might start, you know, getting up there, but at least for just outright, he probably just does have the best movement in the game because of this move right here. This move is insane. People need to realize how stupid this is, right? So even if you somehow find yourself in a situation where he cannot bully his way through neutral, let's say 21 did that, right? That could be a little bit more difficult to deal with because she's covering every angle of the screen, and for all intents and purposes, majority of characters cannot do anything about this, right? You jump, you fall into the assist. If you don't jump, you have to block the assist. Maybe you can super dash, but let's say she was using a beam assist, that wouldn't even be an option, right? He actually has a option that deals with everything, which is he can literally just instantly get above the structure immediately. And he can do this to almost every single character's neutral structure. And if you actually have a good enough license, he can actually approach while he's doing this. As I can't really control it that well, but trust me, it is a thing. He can actually literally approach. And speaking of approach, outside of using it as a evasive maneuver, you can, like I said, approach absurdly fast. Look how fast that is. That happened very fast. Like, you just lost neutral like instantly. And this is a neutral skip, right? This is like somebody calling Vegeta, hey, his way of doing it is he just flips in, presses J, right? So for him to have this amount of movement options is crazy, and he can even bait out super dash. Let's say because he cannot block while he's doing this, but if he was looking for super dash, all he has to do is drift towards the ground, and I'm not getting my drift, and he can actually bait it, and he can actually bait it very late, as you can see. Look at that. I started the flip after he input super dash, and I actually still had time to touch the ground and 2H it. And if you don't have time to 2H, you can always meme them and level 3 them. So it's literally one of the strongest neutral tools in the game, in my opinion. It is pretty expensive because it costs half a bar to do the stronger version of it, but access to strong tools that are tied behind meter is not a reason to say a character sucks. If anything, that is a reason why a lot of characters have historically been strong in the past, right? You get the point. So the next thing we're going to talk about in the character's kit is actually his really good normals. He actually has like some really amazing normals. Not necessarily frame data wise, because we all know his frame data actually is not the best outside of 2L. Right, but he does have a 0 on block normal, which is really nice, because that means if you are right and you think he's going to stop and restart his string, at best you're going to just clash with him, and that's if you time it frame perfect. So that's really strong. You can just kind of like get away with looping this. It's very hard to get out of. Outside of that, for neutral purposes, this 2M is a sin. Look how far that's going. Look how far that's going. Look how far that's going. That is more than Vegito, right? So we see that his backdash 5M won't work, right? If I backdash, his 2M reaches. It literally goes further than Vegito's 5M. This is more than half screen. This is not as far as Blue Gogeta, but getting close to Blue Gogeta range. It's like the halfway point between like Blue Gogeta's 2M and Vegito's 5M, and it's very strong for catching people on the ground, and it hits low. Outside of that, he has access to his H's, which are really insane. So this is very fast. But the more important thing about these moves are they are Ki blastable, meaning you can use them to beat Ki Blast. And that might not seem good, but he can do things like this. It would be better to show it against Vegito assist, actually. He can actually JH the assist away. So instead of actually having to block it, I'm going to find the timing here. Instead of having to actually block it, he can just slice them away, which is really, really nice. And that is good because then you can do things like slice them away and countercall your own assists. And if you combine it with his flips, you can have a sequence like this. Let's see if I can get it to show you guys. I'm not a flip master, but there it is. I missed my air normal, but you see the point, right? He can just like destroy your neutral structure and also get in fairly easily and very quickly. So that's really, really nice. So having access to things that just beat properties in this move are very, very, very strong, right? So he has access to pretty absurd normals. This is also 10 frames, I believe, or 11 frames, excuse me. That is like, look how far that goes, and look how quick that is for how far it goes. This is very hard to like space yourself around a neutral. When he's doing things like this, it's a very good button to approach with. Like things like this, just IDing in, IDing away, even flipping into it is very strong. That's pretty, I'm pretty sure this is why they buffed it, but I didn't even know he can EX flip. I did not know that. Wow. Yeah, crazy movement options. But yes, he has access to very, very strong normals. And the last thing I'm going to mention about him as a character is actually with all this stuff, he literally has access to 50/50s everywhere. Again, I cannot show you guys because I cannot execute the flip correctly because I don't actually play this character or main him, but everyone knows it. You do that, you flip 50/50. Wow, I actually got same side. Proud of myself. But yes, this is a unreactable left-right mid-screen, and he can even do it to you in the corner due to his auto combo switching sides. Like such. It will look like this. You know, whatever, same side, right? So always having access to a 50/50 with an assist everywhere. Strong neutral that can even beat the top tiers of neutral in the game. Very strong assists. Level 2 for support. A level 3 mix-up that is the strongest type of mix-up that can exist, albeit it is expensive, but it does exist. I kind of fail to realize how people legitimately think he's mid-tier or even low-tier. That blows my mind. I remember seeing some discussion, people were like, oh, is Trunks the worst character in the game? A lot of people come in my chat to say, oh, do you think Trunks is the worst? And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, he's not even remotely close to being the worst. In my actual humble opinion, I do think he is pretty high-tier right now, if not pretty top-tier, maybe. He might be on the lower end of top-tier, maybe. But guaranteed high tier. He's a very, very, very strong character. And the last thing that I'm going to show you guys is actually comparing him to the other characters of his like archetype, kind of, right? In the sense that they are supporting beam characters. You know, you have these guys, you have Yamcha with his beam, you have Goku Black with his beam. I would put Tien in there, but Tien is weird. He doesn't really, that's not really a beam, that's like a beam like almost, but I guess you could put Tien in there. He's like the weird one. I don't really think he's a beam, but just for argument's sake, you can. If you look at these characters, majority of them are designed to kind of just be support exclusive characters, but kind of struggle once they get on point to do the same things other character does, right? So let's take SSJ Goku, for example. He is the main example, right? He is the bread and butter. If you look at him, he has a lot of the stuff Trunks has in terms of support with, you know, good neutral assists, good mix-up assists and stuff like that, high damage supers, all the good stuff, right? But when he gets on point, outside of having very high reward for his damage and pretty good neutral, he actually struggles to hit you compared to, let's say, a character like Teen Gohan or Blue Gogeta or Trunks, right? So the characters who are also support characters like him actually don't do what he does on point. Trunks is a unique case where not only does he have very strong supporting qualities because of the things I mentioned, once he's out, he starts boxing you. Like, he's actually a very scary character to fight on point as well, which is pretty unique to these type of characters. You know, you look at some other examples, Yamcha is kind of another one. Yamcha can mix you, but his neutral is where the issue starts showing. Goku Black has very strong neutral and very strong movement options, but he cannot really mix you that well, especially when he's by himself or he doesn't really have that much help. Tien can mix you and can play neutral, but I also don't really think he even is a beam assist character for the most part. Krillin can also do both, but as you can see, out of all these examples, he actually is one of the unique ones. There's a few other characters who also do it, but as you can see, he's definitely like one of the rare ones. Majority of them cannot do what he does. So those are my thoughts on Trunks, and that is why I actually strongly believe him to be potentially top tier this patch. And keep in mind, I am not the only one who shares his opinions. I've had discussions with very top players who place like top 3, top 4 in most tournaments. They also kind of share the same opinion because he is generally stronger, right? And I remember when I was in Lotus's video, I kept mentioning to people that you should watch Wawa's Trunks play, and so you can see the concepts in play. And a lot of the comments that I read, or some of the things people were saying in the chat while we were having the discussion, was that you cannot use Wawa, he's just going to be good with every character. And I'm going to be completely honest, that is trolling. Because if somebody is doing something with a character, that is literally them proving that the character tools are strong enough to be done, right? If you see somebody get past somebody's neutral structure with Trunks' EX flip and to get in close into a 50-50 with auto combo, and once they get hit by the 50-50, they go for his level 3 mix-up, and they also get hit by that mix-up, and then they kill a character in one sequence. If somebody looks at that and be like, well, I'm just going to completely ignore everything the character just did just because it's Wawa, right? Like, you just ignored the movement part, you ignored the mix-ups, you ignored everything just because of a player name. I think that is very foolish and petty, so I'm going to say it again. If you guys want to see some of these concepts in play, I do think Wawa is the best example. He's also one of the only players who actually really put this little theory into play, and this was with a version of Trunks who is actually nowhere near as strong as this one, so, you know, you have that for food for thought. Like always, if you guys like this type of content, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.